This is Relentless Famer Brewster, former WBO heavyweight champion of the world. And I just want to let you know I'm a big fan of the Ringside Boxing Show.
Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid, and John J. Raspanti today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Yes, it is. Welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and we got some really interesting stuff straight ahead. During the second half of today's show, we are going to be catching up with Joel Diaz Jr., a lightweight who has a 23-1 record with 19 knockouts. But he hasn't been in the ring since June of 2017 when he walked into a big punch from Regis Prograis. Went in there with his hands low, and he learned a lesson. Suffered a second-round TKO, and since then he's made a change in trainers. He switched from Abel Sanchez to Max Garcia, and he's changed his style to a more defensive, kind of a smarter attack. He was kind of a Brandon Rios-type fighter before. Reconfigured his strategy, and he's ready to make his return on October 6th at Cache Creek Casino in Brooks, California, against Miguel Angel Huerta. Our interview with Joel is coming up shortly, but we also want to send our congratulations out to Joel's stablemate at Garcia Boxing, Ruben Villa IV, who moved to 13-0 on Friday night with a really solid unanimous decision over Jose Santos Gonzalez in Corona, California. It was an 8-rounder, and Ruben won every round on one scorecard and 7 out of 8 rounds on the other 2 scorecards. Gonzalez was 23-6, so he's no slouch, and he had a lot of tough guys on his record. So this was a step up for Ruben and a really good win for RV4, who won 15 national championships as an amateur and beat Shakur Stevenson twice in 2016. Ruben is a featherweight, by the way. Time now to talk about a really interesting week in boxing with our expert analyst. Travis Hartman is a professional boxer, boxing trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwaan Zahid, a boxing journalist from Toronto, and John J. Raspanti is chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com. John and I are co-authors of Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy, which is an Amazon bestseller. Hey, Travis, your disappointment was pretty palpable last night after 37-year-old Ray Beltran lost his WBO lightweight title to Jose Pedraza. That was in Glendale, Arizona. The fight went the distance. The judges scored at 117-110 twice, 115-112 on the other card. Pedraza got a knockdown in the 11th round. Beltran took, I think, 4 tries to win the world title before he finally got his belt. And he's really been a study in perseverance and grit throughout his career. He's got a record of 35-8-1 with 21 knockouts, which isn't likely to get him into the Hall of Fame. But, man, as a fellow fighter, which is what you are, he was a guy that I'm sure was easy for you to respect and admire, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly 100% correct. He's one of those guys that I think all fighters respect, and the perseverance that he used to be a sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao. I mean, he's trained under Freddie Roach. He's been all around, and he finally won a world title, and it's such a great story. You know, it's one of those, boxing has a lot of these stories where it's almost like rags to riches. And although he didn't win last night, he still made some pretty good amount of money. If he would have won, he was guaranteed a 7-figure payday, you know, to fight Vasily Lomachenko, which kind of sucked and hurt a little bit to see it. But it was, overall, Ray Beltran he's a phenomenal talent. He just couldn't get started last night, it looked like. But Pedraza deserves all the respect. I kept waiting for Pedraza to kind of fade, because that's what happens normally when Pedraza fights. He starts fading down the stretch, and if you watch that fight, I mean, he caught Beltran with a nice little counter uppercut to put Beltran on his can in the 11th round, which essentially, guys, I mean, the last 2 to 3 rounds won the fight for him, because it was a close fight, you know, all the way up to that point. And Pedraza has been notorious for fading down the stretch, and that's exactly what Beltran and them were hoping for, because that's why he was pressing him the whole fight, and then he didn't fade. In fact, for the in the 12th round, the last 10 seconds, Pedraza went off. Like, if he'd went off like that towards the beginning of that 12th round, he might have stopped Beltran on the ropes. I mean, that's how good Pedraza looked, and that's how fresh he still looked. Again, though, it does suck, Dennis, to see, because I'm not a huge Beltran, outwardly outspoken Beltran fan. But like I said, I have immense respect for him and what he's been through. And not only that, in the grand scheme of things, too, with the political environment in America right now, it's really awesome to see that Beltran, I don't know if he's been officially got his citizenship, but I know he's been going through that process for a little while now, and it's looking like he will get it if he hasn't yet. But it's all on track for him to finally get his American citizenship, which he's been trying to for a long time. So that's what's really cool. That's the American dream is alive and well, guys. I mean, we have a Mexican immigrant that came over here that literally, that guy probably, who knows what he did, guys, because he wasn't getting by just boxing. I bet that guy's had 2, 3, 4 different jobs at a time to get by, just to see the work ethic and just, he's a phenomenal person, in my opinion, and he deserves everything that he's gotten. And that was his first time fighting at home in Phoenix, where he actually lives now. So it was, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit of bittersweet, I guess you could say, because I was so happy to see him get one of those hometown fights, and it looked like the crowd was pretty big there, and the crowd was definitely screaming for him, and he wasn't able to pull off the win for his first ever title defense. But it is what it is, guys. It's boxing. There's always going to be a winner and a loser. Every once in a while, there's a draw. I get that, but for the most part, there's a winner and a loser, and that's just what happens in boxing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yeah, man. As a boxing fan, the guy you want doesn't always come out ahead. But Riz Pedraza is 29, and there really aren't a lot of big names on his record. Really aren't any real big names before Beltran. He TKO'd Tevin Farmer way back in 2012 when Farmer was 7-4 coming into that fight, and that was his 12th pro fight. He stops Sergio Reyes, who was an okay fighter. I think he was 22-2 at the time. Won a split decision over Edner Cherry, who was way past his prime, and then he lost a TKO against Gervonta Davis last year. Davis was 16-0 at the time, and now it looks like Vasil Lomachenko is next. They're angling toward a December fight, and I'm guessing that's probably where the party ends for Pedraza. Don't you think it's going to be a short reign for him, Riz?
Maybe not. The party won't end money-wise, though, because he'll get paid handsomely for this. We talked about this. There's nothing wrong with a guy being, quote, an opponent for a lot of the bigger names. I mean, just to say he shared a ring with those guys means he's clearly bringing something. He's a step above the B and B minus fighters, but maybe a step below the A and A plus fighters, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, no one expects him to beat Lomachenko. Gervonta Davis handled him comfortably. I think a guy with Lomachenko's experience will do it even in better fashion. But I'll say this: Linares was a tall, rangy guy, kind of like Pedraza, and I don't think Pedraza has the same intangibles that Linares does. But I'm sure he's looking at that fight and he could pick up a couple things that he could do well. But the funny thing about Pedraza, he doesn't really fight like a guy his size. And obviously that's going to be a downfall against a guy like Lomachenko, who can exploit the smallest amount of weakness in your game plan. Lomachenko's also coming off an injury, and for Lomachenko, this is more. I think the idea is, I think they want to make him and Gervonta Davis, but for Lomachenko, he's probably like, well, he wasn't planning to come back this year to begin with, so he's like, all right, if I'm going to come back this year, I want a solid fighter just to kind of get back in, and then I'll probably have that big fight for early next year, because I don't think you want to make, especially Top Rank, I'm sure they don't want to make a fight with Gervonta Davis if Lomachenko's shoulder is not 100%, or if it can't get through the battles of an actual fight. So I don't think Pedraza is. I don't think anyone expects him to win, but I don't think it's a write-off at all. I mean, stranger things have happened, injuries have happened, so sometimes guys get lucky. But it's good for him to at least earn the opportunity. I mean, there's so many guys. We've heard guys who want to fight Pacquiao and Mayweather's and all the big names over the years, and no one necessarily thought they were going to win, but they understand that even if they're not going to win, to have that chance is big, because number one, financially it's big, and number two, again, stranger things have happened, and you can pull off an upset. So I don't think Pedraza's in a pure win-win situation. Even if he loses, everyone expects him to lose, and he'll still get probably his career highest payday, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think for him and Beltran, that's what they did last night. They were fighting for the battle to fight Lomachenko. And just to have that chance to fight, the best fighter in the world, arguably, or top two, is itself a pretty big opportunity. And opportunities like that don't come easily. So good for Pedraza, but yeah, I think you're right. No one expects him to win over here, but I think in some ways he's already won.
Yeah, and you're right. That's life-changing money. It would be for the four of us, for sure.
Absolutely.
John, Beltran was hoping for a nice payday fighting Lomachenko or Mikey Garcia, and he's probably not going to get either one of those guys now. Do you think he's a guy who's going to continue to soldier on, maybe as a gatekeeper? Is he that kind of a fighter, or do you expect that we've probably seen the last of him now?
Well, that's a toughie, Dennis. The guy generated so much respect and love. I mean, he is what epitomizes boxing to a lot of us, especially me, being a big fan of Armando Muniz. Those guys that don't have that elite talent who hang in, fight hard, fight everybody, and win a title, they can't take that away from him. So that's good. Yep. I mean, so in that respect, I would love it if he just said goodbye. But I doubt it. I think he doesn't make excuses. If you saw the interview, I guess he's been having problems with his left hand, and his Suzy Q is his left hook, and he threw it quite a bit earlier in the fight, and then he stopped throwing it, and he was asked about it. He says, "No, I'm not going to make excuses," and he's not. But I'm sure that it's going to be very hard to walk away after a loss. So I think he'll fight again. The romantic in me would love to see him come back and fight there again at the same place. Obviously not in a championship fight, but some kind of a fight where he fights somebody and gets a win and then walks away. I would love that because he's that kind of a guy. I think he deserves that kind of respect. He's been boxing for 19 years. He's, as Travis so eloquently said, he's done it all in his career. So why not go out with a win instead of a loss? And that's the way he's probably thinking, and that's the way, honestly, I would be thinking if I was him. I'm sure today he's sore and he's kicking himself for making some mistakes in there. But, all the props to Pedraza, who showed a lot of grit that I don't think we thought he had. His jab, he had a big advantage in reach. And when I wrote an article about it, I didn't make a prediction because I thought, you know what? I think Pedraza is probably going to win this fight, even though I didn't want to think that way. Because I was pulling for Beltran. I'll admit it.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave the writer in the other room, and you can't help it but pull for the guy because he's just such a good person and a good inspiration. So, but Pedraza really worked the jab, and that was the key. He had that jab in Beltran's face all night, and that might give Lomachenko a few problems early just because of the reach, especially if he utilizes it. He tends to forget that he's got that range and that reach. But I was impressed by Pedraza, disappointed in Beltran, but I don't think so, Dennis. I think he's going to probably say, you know what, I got a few more left. He's still with Bob Arum, who can obviously helps your career immensely, being with a promoter like him. And I would love to see him fight one more time. Whether he fights one more time, wins, and then becomes the gatekeeper, God, I hope that doesn't happen. He's taken a lot of punishment. He's 37 years old. He's only had 43 fights, but, you could probably double that with some of the punishment he's taken. Sparring with Manny Pacquiao, he took a lot of punishment, I'm sure, so I don't want to see him get hurt. I want him to have a good life. So either way he does it. If he walks away now, which I doubt, or he has one more fight, that would be great. But, in boxing, we have a lot of sad stories. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But, man, that guy deserves props. He's had a hell of a career.
Yeah, he sure has. Hey, Travis, it seems like every 5 or 6 weeks we start talking about a guy who we're kind of earmarking as another big star in boxing. And I wanted to get your impressions of Isaac Dogboe, who won the WBO bantamweight title in April, knocked out Jesse Magdaleno in the 11th round of that fight, and he defended it Saturday night against a guy named Hidenori Otaki. Took him 2 minutes and 18 seconds to knock this guy out. Man, Dogboe is just 23 years old. He's from Ghana. He's 20-0 now. 14 knockouts, and to me, he's looking like a bona fide star. How do you like this guy? Still there, Travis? Oh, just a second. For some reason, you're on mute. Okay, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I got disconnected right in the middle of your question. I didn't hear the rest of the question.
All right. Yeah, what do you think of Isaac Dogboe? You still there? Did we lose you again? Yeah, we lost Travis again. Riz, let me throw you that question. What do you think of this guy?
I don't know if this is how good of a comparison this is, but you know, it reminds me of a little bit Ike Quartey, the bazooka. I think he has like surprising pop, and I think even though Ike Quartey had incredible power and has kind of carried in his fights. It hasn't always shown in Dogboe's fights, but the last two fights he had, it really shown up. And I think now he's confident in his power and his abilities, and he's also still very young. I mean, 23 is quite young for a guy to have that kind of power, beat tough fighters, and kind of still be, he's kind of approaching his prime, but I don't think he's even there yet. I think he's definitely very good, and I think I was looking at the other fighters in that division. He is. I wouldn't say he's lucky, but he's in that division at the right time. Because if you look at everyone in that division, I favor him to beat every single one of those fighters. Now, going up in weight, going down, those are that's a whole different question. But as of right now, he said he wants to unify, and I think he would be a very easy favorite if he unifies. I think there's no doubt that he would beat most of, if not all, of the fighters in that division. So, ESPN has shown him twice now. The first fight, he was probably in a candidate for Fight of the Year against Jesse Magdaleno. It was a great fight. He was knocked down, came back, scored a great knockout. So I think fans are seeing him. Fans are liking him. His post-fight interview, he has a certain amount of balance between brash confidence and humility. And I think as a fan, personally, I really appreciate that. There's a lot of fighters who kind of one way or the other, but you can be both. And I think what you're seeing from him is, he understands where he came from. He understands his abilities, and he understands that he's still not even in his prime yet. And I look forward to watching every single one of his fights because, he mentioned Ray Vargas. I think he can beat Ray Vargas very comfortably. Ray Vargas is a tall, rangy, stick and move kind of guy, but Dogboe has power. Dogboe and the fight yesterday, his opponent was not, I wouldn't say he's a top 2 or top 3 fighter, but the guy hasn't lost in 9 years, so clearly he's doing something right. And anytime you blow at a guy in the first round, you're doing something right? I don't care how it happens. I mean, clearly you have a certain amount of power. You know how to find the guy and land the right shot at the right time. So, because even if you look at some of the fights where power punchers Deontay Wilder's fights or Golovkin's fights or when they're like overwhelming favorites, they still don't score first round knockouts, right? Rarely do they. So that means a first round knockout is something special, and I think Dogboe is something special. I really hope he's one of these fighters who can be active, and I think in looking at him and hearing the way he talks, I don't think he wants to be a guy who fights every 6 months or once every year. ESPN has dates. If they can lure other fighters to make unification fights, I hope they do, and I think Dogboe wins every single one of them. I think I don't think he's special yet, but everything is there. Everything is there for him to become something special. We said the kind of the same thing when Terence Crawford stopped Gamboa. We said Terence Crawford could be, and we're still seeing that with Crawford, but we agree that he passes the eye test, and Dogboe to me passes the eye test.
Okay, John. Sergey Kovalev has decided to exercise his rematch clause against Eleider Alvarez, who knocked him out in the second round. The seventh round of their fight earlier this month in Atlantic City. Kovalev was ahead on all 3 scorecards when he got KO'd. Any surprise that he wants another shot? And is Kovalev going to be the favorite or the underdog in the rematch?
Oh, I think he'll be the underdog.
Really?
Dennis, I do. Yeah, I do. I think because coming back from that kind of a loss, getting knocked out like that, really one punch that knocked him out, even though he had been nailed with a few right hands earlier and seemed a little buzzed, and he was gassed too when he got stopped. But coming back from something like that is really going to be tough. I mean, he's not going to be a 10-1 underdog, but I think he'll be a 2-1 underdog in this one. He can win the rematch if he almost has to fight a perfect fight to beat the guy, just because he was beating him because he was busier as the fight progressed. Earlier, he was getting hit with a jab like crazy, if you guys remember. Mm-hmm. And then he made an adjustment, and he tried to hurt Alvarez in round 4, if I'm remembering correctly, and did not. And he seemed very disheartened by that. So he has to change his mindset and try to fight a fight where he's not going for the knockout. He's trying to pace himself in a way. See, it's going to be so hard to do that and not drop his hands and get nailed by a right hand. It's going to take so much for him to do it. Can he do it? Yes. Actually, I believe he can do it, and I can't wait to write an article about it because I want to do some comparisons on guys who do win rematches. Not very many do, but I think it is possible because he was winning the fight, and I think he will win some rounds again. The question will be, can he stay active enough and do enough to keep Alvarez away from him? Because Alvarez has got faster hands, and he's got a good jab, and that whole power thing about, well, he didn't really have a lack of power. Well, no, he has power. Knocked out Butte the same way, pretty much by right hand. It's an uphill battle for Kovalev, and if I was him, my mindset would be, this is it. I'm going to work as hard as I can and try to get in the best shape I can. No, not try. I'm going to get in the best shape I can because I'm going to have to be so active. I'm going to have to out-busy this guy. I'm going to have to out-volume him. If I hurt him, if I do something to hurt him, good. But other than that, my mindset has to be I got to keep him on the defensive with my offense. In other words, your offense is your best defense. So you're constantly punching so the other guy can't get off and nail you. So, again, that's really going to be hard. But he's a pretty good boxer, Kovalev. If he can figure out a way to get his stamina better, which is tough at 35, he can win this. But, yeah, I think he will be an underdog, and it's going to be a very uphill battle for Kovalev to win a rematch.
Yeah.
This is the ring. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, guys, I think that the second Andre Ward fight is what's affecting Kovalev right now. I don't think Kovalev can win this rematch. I think Kovalev is going to be, I believe this is only his second rematch he's had in his career, and I believe he's going to be 0-for-2 in rematches. And that's because I just think that Andre Ward fight really, the second Andre Ward fight, I think that really has affected him mentally, and he's later in his career. And I think we're going to see the same thing. I mean, this guy didn't just beat Kovalev. This guy beat the crap out of Kovalev towards the end. You know, Kovalev was in it, obviously, but how it ended, that's got to be in your mind. I mean, Kovalev's a tough guy, and I think Kovalev has always worked really hard his entire life. So I don't know that Kovalev can come back from this. It's going to be an amazing fight. It is boxing, so, yes, anything can happen. But I don't think he can beat this guy in the rematch, and I attribute it to the way Andre Ward beat him in the second one. I know that's been a little while, but I attribute that this coming rematch result is going to be because of what Andre Ward did to him in their second fight.
Yeah.
Travis, I'm going to stick with you on this one because as a fighter, I want you to comment on this. Let's talk about that bizarre scene that happened Friday in Minnesota where this journeyman heavyweight named Curtis Harper waited until the opening bell of his fight with an undefeated knockout artist named Eddie Hearn-fueled. Right after the bell, he turned around, stepped through the ropes, and walked back to the dressing room, walked through the crowd back to the dressing room. Crowd was booing the hell out of him. He tweeted later that he felt disrespected by the money the promoter was paying him. But, man, what an ill-advised way to handle that kind of issue. That should have been handled, days before or the day before, hours before the fight. This has got to be the end of his career, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he just retired on Friday night. That's what happened. He retired officially from boxing because, not voluntarily, because he's not going to get signed by anybody to ever fight again. Here's my only thing is that boxers negotiate their pay in a contract well before fight night. I don't know when he signed a fight, but it had to have been more than multiple days away, if not sooner than that. But so my whole thing is, why agree to a certain pay for the fight only to sign that contract and agree to that pay and then get in the ring and then walk out and protest? That to me, that doesn't make sense to me, and that doesn't sit well with me being a professional fighter, because I always believe that when you signed your name to a contract, you do it, my word has always been my bond. So when I said I would do something, I would do that. And when you sign a contract, you're supposed to do what you say. And, there's other ways to do that. Fight that fight. Upset this guy or just go balls to the wall and fight as hard as you can. And then after that fight, you'll have a platform. After that fight, you can tell all the news people, you can tell everybody, what you went through and how boxers deserve more pay and all this. Because do I agree with boxers deserve more pay? I do. Because I think that the pay gap in professional boxing, it is something that is serious, and I think it's something that most people don't realize, because most people see guys like Floyd Mayweather making, $100 to $250 million for a fight, so they automatically think that the rest of us professional boxers / journeymen are making that. We're not making nowhere near that. So I think that there is a pay problem in boxing, but to me, you don't sign a contract and then go out there and essentially you quit. Essentially you quit, and you quit on all those fans that came, all those loyal fans that paid for tickets, whether they came to see him or not. You don't do that. And that, to me, once you step between those ropes, it's on. There's no stepping out of that ring unless you're done fighting, unless the referee's called the fight, and so to speak. So to me, I know that honestly, everybody always says that when you protest something, it's all about, making waves and causing huge drama and controversy, like the whole kneeling for the NFL. So, and people say you don't have to like it, but it is what brings it attention. So maybe, who knows, guys? I don't agree with this guy, what he did. I don't, but who knows? Maybe it's going to bring attention to something that desperately does need attention, because we all know that boxing has no retirement. We have no insurance thing. We have no nothing. And a bunch of us journeyman type of fighters, and by all means, I don't like that word, but by all means, I essentially was that as a boxer myself. I fought all the top guys. I fought Keith Thurman. I fought Terrence Crawford. I fought Chavez Jr. You name it. And I fought Jesse Vargas. You name it. And I fought all of those guys. And are we underpaid? 100% we are underpaid. But you know what? I was underpaid as well, and I stepped through those ropes, and I gave my best effort at that time as well. So I expected that out of this guy as well, and I think it was very cowardly what he did, and I can't agree with it, but I can also tell you guys that we do need to talk about it. I mean, professional boxers at this level, we don't get paid what we should get paid. I mean, that's the truth, and you guys cover the sport. I live the sport. I've been there, so you guys know that a lot of us are very, very underpaid, considered what the main guys get, and the main guys are making millions, and us undercards are making thousands. And I mean, there needs to be something done about that. That's 100% a fact right there.
Yep. This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor. We're talking with our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid, John J. Raspanti. Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, is now pushing a rumor that Tyson Fury's backing out of the fight with Deontay Wilder. Wilder and Fury both say that's a bunch of hooey. Fury said today, that he'll start training for Wilder on September 1st, which is later this week. And I don't understand why Hearn would start something like this. Promoters do this kind of stuff, I guess, but Hearn, to me, had his chance to offer Wilder a fair deal for a Joshua fight, and he opted instead to lowball the guy and try to embarrass him. As far as I know, he made no overtures at all toward Tyson Fury. So Wilder and Fury decided to fight each other, and the excitement around that fight seems to dwarf anything we're hearing about Joshua and Povetkin. I mean, we've talked about Wilder and Fury on this show for 3-4 weeks in a row now, and none of us that I can remember has even mentioned Joshua versus Povetkin. I think Hearn is embarrassed, really, that Joshua has suddenly been marginalized by this other fight, and this is kind of his sleazy reaction to have an egg on his face. That's just my take on it. Do you think this is a jerk move on Hearn's part, or do you think he actually knows something?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. My opinion on Eddie Hearn kind of changes by the week. Sometimes I think he's – well, I think I'll say this, though. He is brilliant. He's not stupid. He's a very, very intelligent man. I think he does, but I think he does what he does for his side, obviously, like any promoter does. Now, whether there's truth to this, I really don't know. I think if there was any other fighter, I'd probably say no. But we've seen Tyson Fury pull out of fights before. Now, does that mean he's not taking it seriously? I don't know. I think it's way too early to tell. Maybe Hearn's being sincere and there's some bad intel. I don't know. But I don't. It seemed to me that Fury took all of this really seriously. He led up, his last fight, he was in way better shape. He still has some weight to lose, obviously, but, he talked about Wilder before the fight. He said they were going to make the fight after the fight's done. The fight was made. So, now to back out, it wouldn't add up, but would it shock me? No. I hope Eddie Hearn's wrong, and I hope the fight's going through because it is something interesting. I don't think Joshua Povetkin fight was bad when it was initially announced, but the Wilder Fury fight, I say, is bigger at least in the sense for the heavyweight boxing scene. And I think the difference is this is the first time Joshua's fight is not bigger, and I think that's probably what's itching at them a little bit, or at least if it's not bigger, it's very close. I don't know what's going to generate more money, but because Joshua, I think, is still the bigger name out of the 4 fighters involved, but it's definitely a lot closer than it would be if Wilder fought, a Gerald Washington again, or a Gerald Miller or something like that, right? This is obviously a lot bigger, so I think because of that, I think they're a little against the wall. And because obviously if the fight's happening and Wilder wins, all of a sudden you can't give him a 10% cut if he's bringing, if people saw him knock out Fury. So I think that's definitely a ploy in some regards, but it's too early to tell whether there was any truth to this at all. I mean, there could have been some truth to it, and then maybe Fury changed his mind the next day. So I think it's too early to tell, but nothing would surprise me. It wouldn't be surprising me if Fury pulls out. It wouldn't be surprising to me if Eddie Hearn has been kind of making this up along as he goes. And sometimes maybe they're just trying to stay relevant. I think this has been dominating. Joshua kind of stole all the headlines for the previous couple months while Wilder was quiet. And here Wilder's getting the attention, and maybe Joshua's side is doing the same. I think it's just there's a lot of conjecture and just trying to keep the attention on, because both guys have a fight coming up. So I think it's just a battle for attention right now. But there's a risk in doing that. You can battle for attention, but now, Fury and Povetkin, neither should be an afterthought. I think Povetkin is older and he's been beaten, and I think Joshua should beat him comfortably. But he's had a very people forget how good of an amateur he was. People forget that he started off. I think when he was 6-0, he was fighting guys who were former title challengers. So he's been around for a while. Fury, we all know, if he's in shape, his style could beat Wilder and Joshua both. So I think it would be stupid if Joshua and Wilder are looking past their opponents or even thinking about their unification fight right now, because these are not tune-ups. These are way bigger steps above tune-ups. These are, I'd say, the number kind of 4 and 5 guy in the division. They're not, the guys who are 15 and 16 or even 9 and 10 when Mayweather and Pacquiao were kind of waiting to fight each other. So it'd be stupid for either of them to kind of give their attention to anyone right now except their opponent.
Yep.
All right. John, officials have been named for Canelo-Golovkin, the rematch, and Dave Moretti is the only holdover from the first fight that's going to be working that rematch. And that's interesting to me because Moretti is the judge who scored the fight for Golovkin, 116-114 for Golovkin. Don Trella had it a draw, and, of course, Adelaide Byrd disgraced herself with that 118-110 for Canelo. So Moretti is going to be joined this time by Glenn Feldman, who's a real respected veteran judge from Connecticut, and Steve Weisfeld, a New Jersey judge who's got one of the best reps in boxing, I think. And the funny part to me was Team Golovkin objected to a suggestion that Tony Weeks might be chosen as the referee. Golovkin's promoter, Tom Loeffler, called him unqualified, which was surprising to me. Weeks caught some heat for not reacting to Andre Ward's low blows in the final round of that Kovalev rematch. But, man, he's not a guy whose career has been mired in controversy by any means. And interesting enough to me, Loeffler was okay with the suggestion that Robert Byrd might be chosen as the ref, and he's the husband of Adelaide Byrd. So ultimately, I think the Nevada Commission did a great job picking the judges this time, and they also picked Benji Estevez Jr., who's an outstanding ref. So, John, I think the final lineup, Estevez as ref, Weisfeld, Moretti, and Feldman on the scorecards, was about as well as the Nevada Commission could have done for this, because they sure don't want any controversy like they had in the first fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I remember correctly, I think Robert Byrd was the referee for the Amir Khan-Lamont Peterson fight, and there was some controversy in that, if you guys remember. He made some decisions in that fight that were kind of odd. But back to the judges that were picked, I like it. I think it was 115 to 113 that Moretti had Golovkin, and that was what I had, and that it could have been. I had Golovkin winning, but I mean that was a hard fight to judge. I've watched that fight 4 times now, and I still have a hard time with Canelo possibly winning it, but I certainly could see a draw that it ended up being with the 118 to 110 score. Ugh, that was terrible. But I do like what they're doing, to me, because it shows, for once, that they're making a real effort to try to get some of the best judges in there, so that because see, the thing is we all know that this could happen again. We're not going to have that 118 to 110, but there could be some controversy because of the way the fight will probably go. Canelo's talking about wanting to go out there and knock Golovkin out. Now, he might try it for about a minute in the first round, but then I think he'll go back to what he likes to do, which is back off a little bit and fight and burst. And so you have to decide, as a judge, and that's what makes it so tricky sometimes. Okay, he did good in the first minute, then the second minute was closer, and then Golovkin won the last minute. So do you go by the last minute? Do you go by the first? I mean, that's what. So I'm actually quite pleased that they have 3 judges they put in with really good reputations, who are very experienced. And Benji Estevez is a good referee. I don't have any problem with him. So this is good. I like this. And again, the main reason I like it so much is it shows that they didn't just appoint whoever. They did some thinking. They tried really hard to get the best people, put them in the best spot. And in boxing, we all know this. They don't do that a lot of times. Sometimes they'll put somebody in there and we'll go, "What the hell are you guys thinking? Why did you put that person in that important fight when there've been controversies?" And it's happened so many times. They've done it with referees. So I like it, Dennis. The bottom line is I like it. I think it shows something, and I do believe that the fight between Golovkin and Canelo is going to be a hell of a fight. Hopefully, it won't be marred by any controversy. But again, based on the way they fight, it's probably going to be controversial. And I know on Facebook, Riz said something about Golovkin's got to start faster, and I completely agree. And I kind of think he thinks that. So, and Canelo knows that. So I think we're in for a hell of a fight on September 15th.
Yep.
Okay. I got one more for you guys. There was a report on Saturday that Manny Pacquiao's reps are meeting with Eddie Hearn about putting Pacquiao's next fight on DAZN, Hearn's new streaming platform. And that's stunning to me because, Travis, I guess it's your turn here. Pacquiao, to me, is still a viable pay-per-view star. Everybody wants to fight him just to make the money on pay-per-view. I haven't seen anything about what the offer might be from Eddie Hearn, but it must be astronomical if Pacquiao's considering going to DAZN instead of regular pay-per-view on regular TV. Is this surprising to you?
I mean, not really. It's actually, I think it's great timing, but for Manny Pacquiao in his career, because I think Manny will make a ton of money off of this, because while he is still a pay-per-view guy, his pay-per-view numbers have taken a hit. He's probably half of the pay-per-view star that he used to be, which is still quite a bit. It's more than most out there. But I think Eddie Hearn is he's, like Riz was saying, I mean, Eddie Hearn really is brilliant. I mean, the guy's a brilliant guy. So he knows how to sell a Pacquiao, and he's got a platform now to where he's got a ton of money. I think it was like billions of dollars that was invested into this. And, I mean, DAZN is an amazing online platform. They just signed, I think, Cristiano Ronaldo as well. So they're huge. And for them to grab somebody like Manny Pacquiao, even though he's on his way out of boxing for sure, but it's a name. And I think right now with all the signings that Eddie Hearn has done for his online platform, I think this is probably the biggest name for boxing-wise that he's actually signed. So, I mean, he's got a lot of options to who he could put Pacquiao with and sell it. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me. And I bet it is a ton of money. I bet it's plenty of money for Manny Pacquiao to even consider it. And I think he'll end up doing it. Honestly, I think he'll go over there and he'll fight somebody big. I mean, who knows? Manny Pacquiao went up and waited and fought a lot of people. Who knows? Maybe we got a Manny Pacquiao Kell Brook or something on DAZN. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of options, especially with all the people that Eddie Hearn has signed. And again, we got to give Eddie Hearn credit, whether he's evil, whether he's not. He's brilliant. He's doing a lot of good for boxing, and I'm not a huge fan of Eddie Hearn, but I also respect him, and I respect what he's doing for boxing because he's always trying to change and grow and evolve boxing. And for that aspect alone, I'm a huge boxing lover, as you guys know, and I respect him for what he's trying to do and what he is doing.
How about Manny Pacquiao against Dennis? What about Manny Pacquiao against Amir Khan? That could happen.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, man. I've been waiting for that one for a long time.
Yeah, it
a lot of speed in the ring for that one.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, hey, man, this was a lightning round for you guys. I moved from subject to subject to subject, and if somebody has something that we touched on before that you want to elaborate on, you can here. Otherwise, we'll call it a day.
Oh, Dennis, I want to say
I think we covered a lot.
We did.
I want to say something.
Go ahead, John.
Can I say something? Yeah, I want to talk about Eddie Hearn for a minute because the guy is fascinating. I agree with what Riz said, and I was listening to Riz talk about what's going on with the whole Fury rumor that he spread. And, it could be anything from sour grapes, like we were saying, or just trying to get attention for his fight, because that was very well put by Riz, because nobody is talking about Joshua right now. So like anything, you want the attention on your fighter. So and you got to remember that if anybody has anyone close to Tyson Fury, like a spy or somebody nearby, it's going to be Eddie Hearn. He covers all the bases. He's got it. So even if Tyson Fury said something as vague as, well, maybe I'm fighting Wilder too quickly. Maybe I needed one more tune-up, which he had suggested before. Oh, yeah. Eddie Hearn could just spin that as saying, Fury wants out. Yeah. So it could just be like that, just to get the attention back on him. So the guy is almost a politician in the way he does it. He sends up these trial balloons, and it gets our attention. So he is. I'm like Riz, though. I might change daily about him, because I actually blame him for what happened between Wilder and Joshua, that the fight fell out. But he has brought a compelling angle to boxing, psychologically and intellectually, in a way to try to figure out what his next move is going to be. He plays chess with everybody, but one thing, no matter what, he's brought more attention to the sport. So what he's done, you hate him or love him, and we always do with the promoters, he has made boxing bigger. And even if he does things that we roll our eyes at or shake our head, he's going to be like all those promoters that we've done that we mentioned, Arum and Don King. They do things, and we dislike them, but in the long run, they're pretty much right about what they do. So I would think that this was probably calculated on Eddie Hearn's part. He knew what he was doing, and he's probably smiling right now because he got the attention he wanted. And if Fury does back out, he can say, see. And if he doesn't, he just won't say anything. He'll just say, no, I'm going to talk about my fight, my fight. And, again, as I said last week, he's still going to win, because whoever wins Wilder and Fury is going to fight Joshua next year. So, he's got all the bases covered, Dennis.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys, there's some good fights on tap in the coming weeks. It's going to be a big finish to 2018. We can probably talk about some of those on next week's show. But Ringside Nation, there is your boxing fix for now from Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid, John J. Raspanti. Great job, guys, and I will talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, is on holiday for a couple of weeks, as they say over in England. So we're going to take a short break, and then John and I are going to be back with this week's featured guest, lightweight Joel Diaz Jr., 23-1, 19 knockouts. That's up next, so don't go away.
You're listening to the Ringside Boxing Show, the hottest, sweatiest show on West Coast radio.
Oh boy, is this great!
I'm Dennis Taylor, co-author of the Amazon bestseller Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy. You know, writing this book was a labor of love for John J. Raspanti and myself. We enjoyed every minute of the process and considered it a privilege to tell the tale of one of the most electrifying boxing trilogies in the history of this sport. Intimate Warfare traces the collision course of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward from their earliest days through their 3 epic fights, as well as the aftermath of this great rivalry, which culminated in one of the greatest friendships in boxing. Intimate Warfare has received a 4.5-star rating from readers and was endorsed by Hall of Famers Harold Letterman and Joe Cortez and 2-time Trainer of the Year Virgil Hunter. Our foreword was written by Ray Boom Boom Mancini, another one of the greatest blood and guts fighters of our time. Get your copy today at Amazon.com. Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the Sweet Science on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Familton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
Sonny might be great, but he will leave in 8. If he want to go to heaven, I'll get him in 7. He'll be in the worst of 6 if I cut it to 6. If he keeps talking jive, he'll go in 5. If he make me sore, he'll go like more. If he keeps talking about me, I'll get him in 3. If that don't do, he'll fall in 2. And if he run, he'll go in 1. And if he don't want to fight, he should keep himself home that night.
Hey, welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor with my partner John J. Raspanti, and today's featured guest is a 26-year-old super lightweight that's 140 pounds. He's from Palmdale, California. He's now training with Garcia Boxing in Salinas. We haven't seen Joel Diaz Jr. in the ring since June of 2017 when he suffered a second-round TKO at the hand of Regis Prograis, who's now the WBC super lightweight world champion. That's the only loss of Joel's 8-year professional career. He's 23-1, 19 big knockouts, and we're going to see him again on October 6th at Cache Creek Casino in Brooks, California, where he's going to try and shake up ring rust against a guy named Miguel Angel Huerta. This guy's a real veteran. That show is going to be promoted by Paco Damian of Paco Presents and the legendary Don Chargan of Don Chargan Productions. And that card also includes a popular cruiserweight by the name of Ryan Borland, who's 15-2, and Blake McKernan, another exciting cruiserweight who's 9-0. They're going to be in separate fights, as well as a couple of other rising prospects. Rudy Macedo, who's a 23-year-old super welterweight, 7-0, 6 knockouts, and Ivan Vergara, a 21-year-old super bantamweight, who's 5-0. Hey, Joel, we've talked about you several times on the Ringside Boxing Show, but the first time we've ever had an opportunity to talk to you. Welcome. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, just doing my thing. You know, just trying to continue my career. You know, like you said, October 6th, we're gonna have we're gonna have to shake off that ring rust. You know, but I mean, I'm glad to be on your guys' show, and I'm glad to hear that you guys talk about me, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Your ears have been burning. Yeah. Well, hey, first things first for our worldwide audience here. There is a well-known boxing trainer down in Southern California named Joel Diaz, and he's got some famous brothers, Antonio and Julio Diaz, both of whom were world champions. You are Joel Diaz Jr., and you are absolutely no relation to these guys. Do you get mail for those guys? Do you get phone calls? Do you get overdue bills from them?
Man, let me tell you, I have a whole inbox with like more than a couple of, maybe more than 4 dozen, just asking if they could go spar. You know, if I have any fights lined up for them, and if I could give them some fights. And I'm like, oh man, Should I respond to them? Sometimes I respond to them, sometimes I don't, you know. But I mean, I don't want to leave them hanging. But I'm Joel Diaz Jr. You know, we have the same name, but we're nothing related. We're not related. We're just from two different families with the same names and a popular name, I guess. You know.
I guess so. So okay, so who's the Joel Diaz Sr. in your family? Is he an old boxer or not?
Joel Diaz Sr. is not an old boxer, actually. He's just my father, you know. He's the one that got me into this. He's the one that got me into this boxing, you know. He actually wanted to fight when he was younger, but he didn't really have that guidance or that push to actually push him to go to the gym or nothing like that, you know. So, you know, here comes Joel Diaz Jr. and he said, you know what, you know, let's give it a try. Took me to the gym, came to the gym. I want to say 3 days later, I sparred. Let me give out a name. I sparred Christopher Avalos. He was
really?
Yeah, man. 3 days later.
Yeah.
3 days later.
Wow.
3 days later, man, and he knocked me in my butt, you know. And the first thing my dad said, he was like, "You want to quit, huh?" I'm like, "Nah, man. I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm gonna get my revenge."
Really?
Yeah, man.
Kid.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're actually from the same town. We're actually from the same town, and his dad was my amateur trainer for multiple years before I turned pro. And yeah, man, so I can actually say that I got my butt kicked by Christopher Avalos for the first time.
Man, outstanding. And your first sport was actually soccer, right? But you weren't exactly an individual sport kind of kid, I read.
I wasn't. My first time was soccer. I was really good at it. I was really good at it, you know. After that, you know, I just decided I'm not a team player. Went straight to boxing, and after that, there was no going back. Here I am now.
So, how old were you when you started boxing?
I was 8. I was going on 8. I was probably like 2 months before I hit 8, but I was 8 years old. You know, never really thought about it. Like I said, my dad always wanted to be a fighter, a boxer. He was a fighter, but let's not say in the ring, you know. But he wanted just to he took me to the gym, you know. And after that, I mean, I've just been in the gym, and I mean, there's no going back now. Like I said, you know, I want to make something out of this, and here I am, 23-1, with one loss against a really, really good fighter. You know, my hat's off to I tip my hat off to Regis Prograis. You know, he's a great, talented fighter, honestly, and I ran into him, and you know, there's people there's a lot of people that you're gonna run into in this sport. You know, it just depends how you bounce back up, you know. So this is October 6th is my comeback fight, you know, after a year layoff. Not because I wanted to take a year off, but you know, after a year layoff, and I'm just ready just to climb back up the rankings, you know, and just take that number 1 spot. And we said super lightweight, but you know what? We're going back down to lightweight. You know, this fight's going to be at 37. And
really?
we're gonna work our way. Yeah, we're gonna work our way up from there. I mean, I had to go up on weight to fight Regis Prograis. I was fighting at 135 at lightweight, but I mean, that's no excuse or nothing like that, you know. But we're just gonna try to take down the division at lightweight, and then hopefully we run into Regis in the future, you know, if God wants, for a bigger TV date, you know. That was on Showbox, of course, and that was for a title as well. Maybe we could run into him, because I mean, I have some unsettled business, you know.
Yep.
I mean, getting taken down that many times, and in the early rounds, it was just not my cup of tea, you know. I know what I got, and I should have took those 8 counts, you know. I was really, really just anxious, you know. I was just really, really, really anxious just to get up and just to get dropped. like I said, I should have those 8 counts. And we live and we learn. You know, in this life, we live and we learn. And let me tell you, I learned a lot from that fight. And I mean, taking this year off. Being inactive, you know, just gave me the opportunity to actually just learn more about myself and about my boxing. So yeah, man, October 6th it's around the corner, and I'm really, really anxious to get back in the ring. But let's just say that I'm not going to be too anxious like I was in the last fight, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit, though, Joel, when you were younger, because this is always fascinating how boxers get in. You said you were about 8. You were like 85 and 10 as an amateur, right? You won some national tournaments. That's correct, right?
Yeah, man. I won the PAL tournaments a couple of times. You know, I made it as far as the silver gloves. I went to nationals. Junior Olympics was the furthest that I went. I got ranked.
The moderator has
silver
left the
medalist
conference
in the national JOs, and I lost against Eric De Leon. I'm pretty sure you guys know Eric De Leon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, and that's who I lost to in the amateurs, you know, and I mean, he's a great fighter now, bro. You know, it's really good to actually. We were actually training out in Robert Garcia Boxing Gym a couple of months back with Ruben Villa had a upcoming fight, so we had training camp out there, and you know, it's really good to actually see some familiar faces when you go out there, you know.
Yeah.
And running into him, bro, just brought back a lot of memories, and just going back to my amateur days, you know. That's actually where I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. After the Junior Olympics, I mean, I got ranked silver in the JOs. You know, I mean, it could have went further to the Olympics or whatnot, but you know, things didn't go as planned. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, amateur days were great. You know, it was just a young guy learning about boxing. You know, meeting a whole different, and it's just a whole different environment, you know, and just meeting new people from all over the world is just amazing, bro. It's just really amazing.
Yeah, you told my side Max Boxing when you were like 14 that you discovered the power of your left hook, and I'm curious what that moment was like for you. And damn, the power in this baby. What was that like?
Yeah, man. Oh man, I want to say after. Oh man, I forget what tournament it was, but I just kept stopping them over and over and over and over. I had like a good 7 back-to-back stoppage, and it was with the left hook. So I'm like, okay, man, all right, cool. You know, I had to blow it like if I was blowing a gun. You know, if I was blowing some steam out of there. You know, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, so I mean, after that, I discovered that left hand. You know, that 1-1-2 right left hook. I mean, that left hook. You know, and that was putting putting guys in their places. And you know, after that, I discovered I have power. I have power, and I mean, now I'm here 23-1 with 19 knockouts. You know, that speaks for itself. So I mean, we just gotta we're just now working with Max Garcia. Now we're just focusing more on speed and boxing. So the power is there.
Mm-hmm.
The power is there, and now we're just focusing on just on speed and boxing. Boxing is the main goal with the working with the Garcias, and you know what? It's actually cool. You know, I could float like a butterfly, and I just got to sting like a bee now. Yeah, man. You know, floating. Just the whole boxing thing. I always wanted to brawl, you know. I always wanted to brawl, and not everybody is gonna be right there just to hit. I'm just right there just to hit in front of you, you know. Some people are gonna be boxing around, and that's my weakness right there. People that are gonna box me, you know. people that are gonna box me are gonna let me just say were gonna tear me apart, but not anymore. You know, working with the Garcias, they're teaching me how to cut the ring more, how to survive. You know, how to just box, have fun in there. He tells me have fun in there, Joel. Yeah. I'm talking about Max Garcia. You know, he go out there and have fun. And I'm out there, you know, all right, cool, you know, I could bob, I could weave, I could bob and weave, you know, I'm over here floating, like I said, I'm floating like a butterfly, man, and just got to sting like a bee, you know, just so, it's more than just power that we're working on in my arsenal, you know, it's more than just that, so, I mean, I'm loving every day that I'm training with them, and I just look forward just for them to continue to keep teaching me more and more and more and more, you know?
How much do you feel like they've changed you as a fighter? I mean, Max and Sam and Dean Familton have a really unique philosophy about boxing. It's not unique, but it's different. They really emphasize hit but don't get hit, and that's way different from a brawler, which is what you said you used to be. How much have they changed you in a year?
I want to say they changed me. You know, they didn't change me completely because you know what that power. I mean, once that power is there, once you set them up with the right combination, you know that power is gonna have to hit right there. You know, but that's still in me. But going just setting traps up. You know, cutting the ring off and just having fun out there. You know, that's the plan now. That's the plan now, and you know what? I'm telling you, I used to just want to brawl, and brawling will get you tired. Let me tell you that'll get you exhausted. That'll get you really exhausted. I mean, you could say whatever you want. You know, I run this amount of time, so I'm not going to get tired in this fight. But if you sit there, brawling is going to get you tired, and you know what? Boxing is my thing now. You know, just moving around in the rings, and I go back to the corner, and I'm actually having a conversation to him instead of just being all gassed out. So that's another thing that I like. You know, instead of just going head to head with somebody, I'm right there just picking my punches. You know, seeing what he's throwing, wasting no type of energy, and going back to the corner and just, you know, not breathing so heavy, and I'm having fun. That's all this game is about. It's just about going in there and having fun and watching the outcome come out being great.
Yeah. You know, your previous trainer was Abel Sanchez, who we all know is Golovkin's trainer, and he's also one of Max Garcia's best friends. Why did you decide to make the change, Joel?
You know what? The change was really kind of his decision, but my decision as well. So the whole thing with that, it was just weight issue. You know, just with him, it was just weight issues, and he wanted me to be on a course walking around at my weight. I mean, walking around at weight, you know, when I wasn't even a fighter or nothing like that. But you know, I'm not going to get into details with that. But I mean, one thing was weight issues with him, and another thing was with me. I wanted to kind of put him to the side because he had too many fighters. He had too many. Yeah, he had too many fighters. You know, we never really got that one-on-one.
Yep, that happened.
Yeah, we never really got that one-on-one. You know, and being with Abel Sanchez, that's another thing I learned. Brawling even more. He was trying to teach me. He was trying to teach me something that I already kind of know how to do. You know, instead of teaching me how to, you know, hit, run, hit, don't get hit, you know, stuff like that. And he was basically trying to teach me a triple G style, you know. And everybody's not a triple G. Everybody's not a Gennady Golovkin, you know. And everybody's not going to just going to have that power, that whole power, and they're just going to go down, you know. But that's another reason why I actually left him So, but I mean, no hard feelings. You know, I mean, hopefully, if we see each other, he shakes. Shakes my hand, I shake his. You know, it's just part of the game. It's all honestly, it's just all part of the game. And who do you fit best with, and who's going to work you to get to that next level and to make you be champion.
Hey, what's Golovkin like? What's Golovkin like, Joel?
Oh man, let me tell you, he is the man. He is the nicest, baddest, meanest, sweetest guy in the world. Now, that guy is really, really humble. You know, he's really humble. He's just another person in the streets. You know, he's really, 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 really nice guy. But when it comes to work, it's time to work. It's time to work, man, it's really, really time to work. You know, training with him and living with him, I was always in his training group. I could say that. We had, like I said, Abel Sanchez had a lot of fighters, so there was groups. The times where groups had training, and I was always in his group. So you know, he would always push me. I would always try to push him. If he was, you know, if I seen him trying to, you know, just taking it slower, you know what, you got to pick it up, man. You got to pick it up. But you know, he's a great guy. He's a really, really good guy. And being able to share the ring with him, you know, just for our workouts, it was absolutely amazing. It was really awesome. And I could actually say that I was once in the ring with the champion of the world, you know. Yeah. The most feared boxer in the world, you know. Yeah. He's really about his boxing. He's really about his paper, you know. He's really this is him. I want to say everybody that comes from, you know, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, everybody that comes out of the country, I won't say they're all about their paper. You want to say that? Yeah, they're all about the one thing. They're all about their chasing their dream, you know. And why leave their country to come over here and slack off when they could just do it over there? You know, they're coming over here. You know, that's another thing that I admire with people that actually that really about their boxing. You know, people come out here to fight, you know, because they don't have no fights. You know, they don't have no fights out there in other countries or whatnot. I mean, the U.S. is the biggest boxing in the whole world, you know. And I give my hats off to everybody that comes out from a different country and just working their asses off to provide, you know, for anything, you know. They're here. They come here to work. So if you're bothering them, then there's a problem. There is a problem. But no, man, I admire just working with him, you know, and he just taught me a lot. He really taught me a lot, and that's another one of my idols, you know. But let me say something, man. He has a pretty tough fight coming up, you know. The Canelo rematch, man. That's another thing, man. That's another good. It's gonna be a good fight. It really is.
Joel, if anything, he sounds like he's just a great example for all you young guys that are working with him, just to watch how hard he works, right?
He's a great example, man. He's a great example, and like if all these youngsters, I'm calling myself a youngster as well, all these youngsters could actually just get one day with him, or maybe 2 days, not even 2 days. If they could get one day with him to see how hard he actually works, they would be amazed. They would be amazed, and they would want to just continue. They would want to get off the mountain. You know what? It's time to hit the gym. No effing around. Let's do this. Because that's how I felt. He was a perfect example for me, because I would see him pushing and I'm right there. You know, I'm right there on the side of my eye. Just looking at him, and just his reaction, his facial reactions it was just outstanding, bro. You know, it's just, if he's pushing hard, then I could do it, you know?
Yeah.
How old is he? I want to say he's 32, I believe.
36.
36.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
30. Wow, 36. Wow, G. Oh my God. You haven't aged a bit. He's up there. You know, he's up there in age, and that's not stopping him. That's really not stopping him. And if these youngsters could actually just get one day with him to see how he's pushing himself to get to the next level, then that would motivate them to actually continue the rise to glory, you know. But honestly, he taught me a lot, man. Not just inside of the ring, outside of the ring with you know, just with family, you know, just outside of the ring, you know, just business wise, what I could do with this type of cash, what I could do with that type of cash, you know. He's a really smart guy. He's a really smart guy. And you know what? It was good. It was good to be with him. It was good to be in a camp with him. And like I said, I could actually brag about that. I was with Triple G. Some people don't even believe me. Like, oh man, this guy's playing. You're like, all right, cool. Look at. I showed him my phone. I was like, that's me running with him. Man, that's me running with him. Yeah,
cool.
That's me running him. We would have races to go back to the cap house, and the loser would have to wash one another's underwear.
There's your motivation.
Yeah, and let me tell you, one night I went back home with dirty laundry, and let's just say I had a pair. Let me just say I had a pair of extra large Gucci underwear in my dirty clothes, and they were not mine. So you could tell. You could tell who lost that race, but I'm not going to get to that. No, but he's a really good guy, you know. And
that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, my hat off.
Yeah, I want to talk about the guy you're fighting on the sticks, the veteran Furtado, who is 28-15. He's a southpaw. He's fought one of your stablemates, Abel Sanchez, in his last fight.
Yeah.
He's been in the ring with a lot of tough guys: Mike Alvarado, Mauricio Herrera, Lytle Rose. I mean, this guy's like fought a who's who, right? What do you know about him as a fighter, and what kind of fight do you expect?
I expect for him to go all out, you know, to go all out in the first couple of rounds. I mean, what I've seen him fight my stablemate Abel Sanchez. First couple of rounds, he brought it to him, you know. He brought it to him, and it's funny that you guys said that he's a southpaw. I thought he was. I went over to YouTube and I looked over some videos of him, and he actually switches. He changes.
Yeah.
From orthodox to southpaw. So that's one thing that I'm grateful for actually checking him out, you know. So, but just like everybody else, you know, he's gonna come out here to get the win, you know. Just like everybody that steps in the ring, he's gonna come out here to try to get that win, and we're gonna do the same thing, you know. And for me coming out of my of a year being off, you know, it's gonna take maybe like a round or two, I want to say, for me to actually just get in the zone, you know, just to get in the zone. But that's not gonna stop me from the power shots that he's gonna be receiving, you know. But we're gonna take our time with this one, you know. We're gonna take our time with this one, like Coach Max said. Go out there and have fun. That's all we have to do. You know, that's the plan. That's the plan, you know. And if the knockout comes, then it comes. You know, we're not gonna be too rushed to actually knock him out, because, you know, I mean, it's 8 rounds. So, like I said, my last fight, I came out too rushed out. You know, I came out just to hurt Regis, and that didn't work. He hurt me. It was the opposite, you know. But just go out there to have fun, man. You know, just go out there to have fun and just work on everything that we worked out in that we're working on out in the gym. So, I mean, hopefully it's a short night, you know. But if it's not, then we're ready to go the distance and just bring that W back and just continue to keep climbing the rankings, man.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Raspanti. We are talking to young fella who is 23-1. This is Joel Diaz Jr. He's training in Salinas, California right now, originally from you were born in East L.A., right? And then moved to Palmdale?
I was born. I was born in Glendale, and we lived in East L.A., but now we live in Palmdale, and that's my town, man. That's my city. So
okay.
we're repping Palmdale to the fullest.
All right. How much ring rust do you expect to feel on October 6th?
You know what? Not too much. Not too much ring rust. We've been in the gym. We've been in the gym for the past year. Just because we didn't have no upcoming fights, that doesn't mean we have to take no time off. You know, this is my job, and this is my job. You know, and this is what puts food on the table. So, like I said, I've been ready. I've been ready to fight. You know, throughout the whole year. But I mean, it was not due because of me. But ring rust is maybe. Like I said, I want to take the first round. The first 2 rounds, you know, maybe if that, but if not, then we're just gonna go out there and have fun and do what we do and just try to and get the W, you know.
We had Sean Porter on this show last week, and we asked him about just the waiting part of boxing. Man, you have gone through it for more than a year now. The waiting's got to be so hard. Did it drive you nuts not having a fight for you know, what's it going to be 16 months before you get back in, right?
That's a long time, yeah.
Yep.
Man, I wanted, you know what? It got bad, man. I wanted to hang him up.
Really?
Yeah, man. I wanted to hang him up because I wasn't, due to losing my last fight and then not actually fighting for a whole year. I was honestly, like, maybe I want to say I was close to just giving up, you know. But I have a son, and he looks up to me so much. I can't do that to him. I can't do that to my fans. If I gave up, then my son was gonna. I was thinking about my son and what he would say. Oh, my daddy gave up, so that means I could give up on anything. You know what I'm saying? So
yep.
I can't do that. You know, I couldn't do that. And you know what? I want to say I took two months off, real months off, and after that it was back to work. It was really back to work. You know, and I'm 23-1. You know, that was it was just one loss. But it was a learning experience, you know. But and just the waiting game, the waiting game in boxing is what will do that to you, you know. But I have a lot of supporters. And those supporters were telling me, you know what, we can't wait to see you get in the ring, and that was keeping my cool. It was keeping my cool. And then the Garcia invited me to their training facilities, and I liked what I was seeing, and I liked what I was learning, and I liked what I was doing while I was learning it. So I'm here now. I'm here.
Yeah.
And, let me tell you, I'm not going nowhere, guys. I'm not. But the whole waiting game, the whole waiting process in boxing could change somebody's perspective and looking, and you know, just we're cheering somebody, but it's the way that you handle it, the way that you take it, it's the way that it's either like you're either weak-minded or you're either bad about it or you're not. You know, it's either about you or you're not. And this is me. I've been doing this for the past 15 years of my life, and I can't stop now.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel,
take
us back to. Take us back to the aftermath of that fight with Regis Prograis. How much soul-searching did you do after that? I mean, how difficult was that to get over just in your own mind? That first loss, losing that O is so tough, especially the way it happened to you.
Oh, man. Look at check it out. After that fight, man, I went back to my room and I cried, man. I cried.
Mm-hmm.
I did cry, man. I cried. I was just bawling out, man. You know, it was my first loss. The way that I lost, the way that I took the loss, it was just unacceptable in my view, you know. And I couldn't accept it. I honestly couldn't accept it, but I had to accept it in order to move on. And it took me a while to actually accept it. You know, it took me like a couple of months to actually tell myself, dang, I have a loss in my record, you know. But that fight just changed me a lot, mentally, physically, and everything, you know. And you just live and you learn. You live and you learn, obviously. And I want to say I'm glad I'm not saying I'm glad, but I'm glad I actually took that first loss to actually. I think I had to find myself, you know. With that loss, I found myself. I found who I am, what I'm capable of, and what I could do. So, I mean, my hat's off to Regis Prograis, and hopefully we meet up in the future, you know, once again.
Besides not taking the standing 8 count, you know, I think he knocked you down 4 times. Besides not doing the right thing when you got knocked down, what was the biggest mistake you made in that fight?
I want to say the biggest mistake was just going in with my hands down. Hands down against hands down against a southpaw is really it's like running into it's like going head on with another car, you know.
Yeah.
It's like going in with not moving to my left side and moving to my right side. That's his left hand, you know, just running into that left hand over and over and over and over repeatedly, and that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. So I learned from that fight, you know. I did learn from that fight, and hopefully I'm actually fighting the west side of the southpaw, so hopefully we could get some more tips on fighting a southpaw, you know.
Mm-hmm. Is it any surprise to you that a lot of people now consider Prograis the top super lightweight in the world?
Oh man, he's actually in my book he's the top, bro. Honestly. He's like I said, you know, just because a lot of people think just because we fought and I lost that I'm gonna have hatred towards him. No way, it's not like that, you know. It's all part of the game. I mean, I don't want nothing bad towards Prograis, you know, and I think he's an outstanding fighter, bro. I honestly think he's an outstanding. I think he's an outstanding fighter, and I think that's what it takes to actually to take all the belts. Honestly, to be 140, who beats him at 140?
Yeah, man, that's a darn good question.
We got Jose Ramirez fighting next month at 140 again against Orozco. Yeah. You think he can handle Prograis?
I don't think so.
His power, you know, his power, his stockiness, just stalking his prey, and just doing what Regis does, you know, and he's really good at that, and he's really darn good at that. Coming to somebody that actually steps in the ring with him, you know, like I said, I think he's one of the top. I think he has what it takes to be one of the pound for pound super lightweight champs of the world, bro.
Yeah. How often do you want to fight next year?
I want to fight as often as possible, honestly. I want to say maybe 3-4 times, maybe 3, you know. 3. I want to say max 3, you know. 3. I think I'm at the level where I'm 23-1. No little fights like this upcoming fight is gonna happen, you know. If I want to be champion of the world, it's gonna have to happen now because of my resume, because I have 24 fights. So I'm not gonna. I want to say this is gonna be I mean, it's not going to be an easy fight. No fight is easy, but I want to say this is going to be one of the first fights that's actually going to get me back to the rankings. And after this fight, or after the maybe two more fights, that's where we're going to have to just take off, you know, before it gets later in my career, and I'm not going to be able to do nothing about it. So I think if I want to be champion of the world, it's going to have to happen now.
How long do you want to stay at 135?
As long as possible, you know. As long as possible. I mean, as long as I can make it, then it's, you know, it's possible to stay there as long as possible. There's some good contenders. Let me tell you, there's some good contenders at lightweight, though.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to ask you what you thought of that division. You know, you got Lomachenko for one. Mikey Garcia could probably still fight at 135. Yeah. Linares, Luke Campbell, Beltran, Robert Jr.
Yeah, man,
it's loaded.
That's a stock division, you know, and I'm ready just to step in the ring with about any of them, you know. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while already, and we're not. I mean, I'm not trying to take 4 steps back already. You know, I'm at that top of my career already, where I got to continue to keep going forward and forward and forward and forward. So after this fight, you know, we're gonna see what my manager has to say, and we're just gonna have to. You know, we're not gonna be able to take no more easy fights. Let's just say that. So I mean, just be prepared to see me in the future, and that's that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Hey, Joel Diaz Jr. fights Miguel Angel Huerta on October 6th. That's at Cache Creek Casino in Brooks, California. It's the 8-round main event of a show promoted by Paco Presents and Don Chargan Productions. You can get your tickets online at tickets.com. Joel, best of luck, my friend, and thanks for making some time for us today on the Ringside Boxing Show. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for the time for getting me on the talk show, guys. We'll talk soon.
We'll do it again. All right, man.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Hey, do you like this show? Do us a solid and tell other boxing fans about us. Post the Ringside Boxing Show on your social media sites and help us grow. Also, if you have not yet discovered the #1 website in the world for daily boxing news, you are missing out. You got something to add to your bucket list, boxing fans. We update RingsideBoxingShow.com 365 days a year with all the breaking news and the most interesting stories every single day. If you are a hardcore boxing fan, this should be your first stop every day. Might be the only website you need to visit all day long. Check it out right now and be amazed. RingsideBoxingShow.com. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks as always to our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid, and my partner, John J. Raspanti. Another huge thanks to today's featured guest, Joel Diaz Jr. He returns to the ring October 6th, Cache Creek Casino, 23-1 record, 18 big knockouts. And, of course, thanks to you, Ringside Nation, for being part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked, and we'll talk to you again next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Well, it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back. You might get cold cocked if you cross my path. It's a great day